Hey Neil, are you done with the subscriber video yet? Ugh, then what am I gonna do? Okay, fine. Let's see what we got. Behind the meme missing the point of why he gets hate? Nah. Mystic Ornexia? Nope. Jeff and a few videos he put out recently? Not today. The Pubester? Meh. Adam ruins everything? Who cares? Exo? Depending on his response. Something original? I should probably give Neo a little bit of a break while she's doing the subscriber video. Oh, what is this?
It's your boy, Wavy Web Surf here. What's up, guys?
What did you just say?
I love MatPat's theories. They're so amazing. Let's see if what any of these YouTubers say holds water. Shall we?
Well, Neo, looks like we found a winner. Let's see what he has to say.
Recently, there's been a massive wave of YouTubers who have pretty much turned their back on MatPat and have started to make videos criticizing him because of his extensive coverage of Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale. I'm not saying you can't make a critical video towards game theory, but I'm definitely gonna say that you guys are coming with a pretty played out main point.
Before we get to that main point, let's take a look at these videos and explain them, and also MatPat's response to them. Let's start with Optimus. Watching through the video, his main points were this: contently, underdeveloped, unable to take criticism, selected to meet the Pope, sellout, doesn't understand hate from criticism, MatPat needs thicker skin, most popular videos on channel is the FNAF and Undertale. Lots of theories disproven. MatPat uses the "it's just a theory" excuse. Old theories had flaws but were still interesting. I will be taking a look at all these points and going through them one at a time to find out what is true and what is false and what's opinion. The first thing we have is content length. While yes, MatPat's videos have been getting longer, that's not what he means. He means that they are artificially being stretched. This by making the intro a lot longer and adding a lot more jokes than he normally did. The first thing I'll be tackling is the intro length. The video he mentions is the Pokemon The Terrifying Truth of Fire Pokemon video, and how it takes him a little over 2 minutes to get to the theory. And he is right, it takes 2 minutes and 20 seconds to start talking about the theory. He's also saying the old ones didn't take that long. And now I'm going to compare it to the Earthbound theory from a long time ago. Back then it was 1 minute and 14 seconds until they got to the theory. The intro is nearly half the time, but the newer videos have near double the time on the video. And to see that it isn't just a coincidence, I did this. I went to the Halo Power Armor in Real Life video and saw that it took 1 minute for the intro. And I went to the Bioshock episode and saw it took 1 minute and 22 seconds for it. How I decided on these videos specifically is I went one video forward and one video back of the Earthbound video. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the newer video. The next theory that he has is the FNAF theory, and that's 3 minutes and 18 seconds. But it's also a 22-minute long video, which is about 2.5 times as long as the Earthbound video. The intro for the previous theory is, god damn, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And it's a 16-minute video. So yes, the intro length is raised a lot. But hey, the video is a lot longer now, so it would just make sense to have the intro raised a lot. Let's get into the other details real fast. The Earthbound video tells a total of 7 jokes, lasting of 8, 10, 3, 4, 6, 5, and 5 seconds, for a grand total of 41 seconds on jokes, 58 seconds on final thoughts, and 60 seconds on outro. The length of the video is 549 seconds total. If we cut out the intro and outro, that gives us to 415 seconds. If we cut out the final thoughts, it goes down to 357 seconds. So we take the 415 seconds, which is without the intro and outro, and we're going to find out how much is spent on jokes percentage-wise. That would be 0.098795. 10%, I'm going to say 10%. The Pokemon video has a total of 12 jokes. The times for the jokes are 5, 8, 5, 2, 12, 21, 11, 15, 3, 8, 11, and 5 seconds. I am helping the newer videos out a little bit because there is a joke starting at 5:50 and ending all the way at 6:46. That would be considered a 56-second long joke. Although I'm still debating on whether it was a joke or useless information. Why would it be useless information? Because he goes on and explains about the fire triangle. But He brings up the fire tetrahedron, which is the same thing with one more ingredient, re-explains what he says, and then never brings up the fire triangle again. This means he never had to bring up the fire triangle ever because he re-explained the fire tetrahedron. I'm not going to be calculating this into it, but I just was letting y'all know that he does do stuff like this as well. And it's also going to be brought up later for a different point I'm making. That would mean the Pokemon has 140 seconds on intro and 45 seconds on outro. 15% of the video, if you take out the intro and the outro, is on jokes, and this is not taking out of the useless information. This may sound like an alien dissecting the video because I'm counting the seconds of the joke, but humor is subjective and I have a point to this. The point being is that if you enjoy MatPat's new jokes, it's not actually a bad thing. He doesn't enjoy MatPat's jokes, therefore it's a bad thing to him, but I'm sure there's other people that think alike as well. Pretty much if you enjoy the jokes, it's a good thing. If you don't enjoy the jokes, then it's a bad thing. Another case about the jokes is that it can disrupt the flow of the conversation. This can happen when MatPat is explaining something and then throws in a joke, completely disrupting the mood. One more thing about the jokes is that the jokes he used to tell tied into the theory. With the Earthbound video, I saw 2 jokes that did that. With the Pokemon video, I didn't see any. They were just thrown in there even if they had very little relevance. Now for the very last thing about the jokes. If you didn't like the jokes in the old MatPat videos, that was okay because they were only a few seconds. In fact, in the Earthbound video, the very longest jokes were 8 and 10 seconds. In the Pokemon video, the longest jokes were 21 and 15 seconds. Go even further than that is 12 and 11 and 11. On average, the Pokemon video has longer jokes, and if you don't like them, you have to sit through more of it. Now I have one last thing to say about content length, but it ties over to a different point in the video later on, so just keep that in mind. All of these points I'll be skipping for now because I'll be answering them with the other YouTubers at the same time. The next one will be, most popular videos are the FNAF theories. Now I've always found this to be a strange complaint because you don't actually control what is your most popular videos. But what I think he is trying to say is how often he makes the FNAF theories. So I went and counted every theory from when Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale was first put onto the channel. I'm only counting MatPat's theories for this, not Austin's videos, not Culture Shock, not any of those, not even Deadlock, just the theories. I will count every theory, even if it's provably wrong or not even about the games, stuff as like PewDiePie and them. And I'll stop once we get to the Pokemon theory that we're talking about. So we have Undertale with only 5 videos and FNAF with 15. The amount of theories that are not FNAF nor Undertale is at 75. That would make game theory 21% FNAF and Undertale. And for all y'all that only wanted game theories about games counted, then I also did the math for that as well. 17 of those videos weren't about games, they were about YouTube and other stuff like that. It comes down to a total of 25.6%. It may not sound like much of a difference, but the difference is 1 in 4 instead of 1 in 5.
So yes, it is a very fair point to say that MatPat does the FNAF and Undertale theories pretty often. And if you don't like those theories and 1/5 of his whole content is that, well, you're automatically not going to be liking 1/5 of his content then. The next part is old theories had flaws but were still interesting. And what can I say about it? It is 100% an opinion. I may share that opinion, but there's no way for me to prove whether it's right or wrong. Now let's go to the next YouTuber, Manga Common. Now he's a little hard to talk about in this video because he does a good job of explaining it himself. Let's see if I can back up his points with a lot more evidence though. After seeing the video, this is what I got. Now this is just a giant wall of text showing all the points that I got from the video. Thankfully a lot of the points are connected so I don't have to go through every single one, I can do multiple at one time. Not only that, the rest of the points made by Optimus are also made by Manga Common, so I can answer both of their points at once as well. Now I do recommend going and watching his video because it actually is really good of explanation. With that being said, let's get started on the first point, music manipulation.
Now don't get me wrong, I love this game. I really do, but doing episodes on Undertale have been some of the worst experiences that I've had in the 6 years of doing this show.
Going back to something I said on Twitter where I said I thought this was disingenuous, right off the bat I want to point this out. The background music. Now, you can probably consider this to be a nitpick, but I want to say this as it will play throughout the entire segment. There's nothing wrong with playing background music, mind you, but this sad piano music that you hear throughout the entire thing is giving me a bad vibe, and I get it. I get he's trying to be serious, but as I said on Twitter, I got the feeling that this was going to be used for something more. And this was one of the reasons why. The music sets the tone and doesn't help that it's a subconscious and emotional impact on the audience since it subtly makes you want to feel sympathetic. It's a tactic used in basic music theory and also presentations. Heck, this is how music works in movies too. But that's just a thought, and consider it to be null and void, I guess, or whatever. Back to the vid.
There is one more video I'll point you for music manipulation, because it would take a really long time to explain in depth about it. I suggest you go watch it. The next thing is MatPat ignores facts and makes connections on the most elusive items.
Remember, Link supposedly fell a really long way to end up here. If that's the case though, he would have died. Granted, there's a lot of creative license in these games, don't get me wrong, but Nintendo has always taken falling very seriously in 3D Zeldas.
If we go back to Link's Ocarina of Time adventure when he was in the Fire Temple, he's actually supposed to fall a very long distance all the way to the room outside the boss chamber by using the Megaton Hammer to smash the pillars as it's required to access the boss chamber. Link lands completely undamaged after falling from this very high height. Also, if we look in the Prima Collector's Guide for Twilight Princess, there's a text that says, "A long drop onto solid ground may sting a bit, but it usually isn't fatal." In fact, Link can plummet quite a surprisingly long distance before the impact starts to inflict damage. This shows that Link, whether it is the hero of time or hero of Twilight, is capable of surviving long falls, meaning it's quite possible he could have survived falling down the tree trunk. But there is something else that could greatly increase the likelihood that Link survived the fall. What does Link land on? A Deku Flower. If Link lands on a Deku Flower from a high height, it prevents any fall damage happening to Link. Some of you might be thinking, oh, that's just simply game mechanics. But if we look in the Prima Collector's Guide of Majora's Mask, it says, the Skull Kid has tricked Link. There's nothing beyond the second hollow tree except a long fall into dark depths. Here's hoping for a soft landing. As luck would have it, Link lands safely on a large flower, none the worse for wear. And there we have confirmation that Link survived the fall by landing safely on a Deku Flower.
For the Link is dead theory, MatPat ignores all facts showing that Link is alive. There's actually more evidence that Link is alive rather than dead, and a lot of the facts that he shows that Link is dead is actually blown out of the water because they're just plain not true. As for getting people to think this way and it's a dangerous way of thinking, I agree, is actually a very dangerous way of thinking. Just think if we use that in court, completely ignoring the facts and making up stuff to suit your narrative. How about we go to the evidence is shaky at best.
Later, in Miniland Mayhem, she even gets her own toy modeled after her. There's no Peach toy theme park based around his hit toy line. There's no Peach toy. Screw you, continuity!
But wait, there's more!
And let's not forget that Mario will drop a Yoshi into a pit without hesitation, just to get a couple extra inches out of his jump. A pit that, time and time again, has clearly been shown to result in death.
Player choice.
He relishes in it, yipping and yee-hawing as he leaps from one flattened corpse to the next. He has no sense of guilt, no sense of remorse.
Oh yeah, it's not like he ever makes those sounds when he jumps. Also, the players can just jump over the monsters and not kill them. That's the player's choice. I died already! Or, in some cases, players' lack of skill.
Land for the Game Boy. And yes, while the manual and promotional material may bill this as Mario saving just another princess out of the kindness of his heart, there's no denying what you see in the final scene of the game. Oh, Daisy, Daisy, he cries out when seeing her. Now, I'm sorry, but that's not how a friend greets another friend. Names only get repeated in romantic settings.
What's wrong? Snake! Snake!
In the last one, considering it was text and he went, oh Daisy, Daisy, he added tone to the text. Now let's add some different tone to it. Oh, Daisy, Daisy. Oh? Daisy? Daisy? It completely changes based on how the tone is. It could just be a friendly situation. I think I've thoroughly proven this point already now, and I'll be linking videos debunking MatPat's theories in the description below, so you can see just how many he's wrong in. The next part I'll be doing is it's just a game or it's just a theory. Now if I came up to you saying, hey, I have a theory, 2 + 2 = 5, would you say it's just a theory and you can't disagree with it and you can't prove why it's wrong? No, I would have to make a very convincing argument of why 2 + 2 = 5, and even then people will still disagree. And for the it's just a game point, so he shouldn't be able to make the video if we can't make a counter argument by that logic. And now I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I see I forgot to mention of when MatPat takes stuff out of context.
Quote, I believe that they felt it was more valuable to sacrifice a particular sector of America and a race of people in America in order to save the whole country. End quote. It's an idea that Mayor Lionheart echoes towards the end of Zootopia, saying that they did, quote, the wrong thing for the right reasons, end quote.
Did I falsely imprison those animals? Well, yes, I did. It was a classic doing the wrong thing for the right reason kind of a deal.
And once again, you are taking things out of context, because Mayor Lionheart wasn't referring to the Night Howler stuff, he was referring to the kidnappings that he did to prevent panic because of the predators were going feral.
Zootopia even seems like it's making references to specific instances of the crack epidemic. In the movie, Mayor Lionheart gets set up to make it look like he's behind the Night Howler scheme and gets put in jail.
Did I falsely imprison those animals? Well, yes, I did.
What did I just say? He wasn't framed for the Night Howler scheme, he was arrested for kidnapping and false imprisonment!
The next thing is MatPat claims that Undertale and Earthbound are his favorite video games, but messes up basic information about the game. I don't have much to say about this topic because I don't know Earthbound personally, but this is what Mangacommon had inside his video description, and he also has other videos pointing out the flaws. But about these topics, I don't know how big or small these flaws are, and just because it's your favorite game doesn't mean you can't get stuff wrong. But if you're going to be doing a theory about it and it's going to be one of your points, then you may want to double check and do some research. Now this next point I think me, Mangacommon, and MatPat can all agree on, and it is that MatPat should not have gotten hate for what happened with the Pope and people should have done their research about it. Me personally, when I heard MatPat got to meet the Pope, I didn't care too much. I sipped my tea and said good for him. But this begs the question. What was the question? Oh yeah. What hate? We see that petition that you showed, which you completely mistold what it says. It doesn't say anything about you getting removed from the internet. All they want you to do is admit that you're wrong on the Mario's mental theory, and I guess if you want to say that's hate, then that means anytime you're wrong about something and someone wants you to admit you're wrong, that's hate? I don't know where you're going with that, MatPat. This is one reason we can't really trust you when you say you've been getting hate, when the examples you give aren't hate. Not only that, the only evidence we ever got with the petition, and you said it was to get you removed from the internet, when no, it wasn't. In fact, I tried to do some research to find this hate that you were talking about, and guess what I found? I found a parody channel that is parodying you. I found a couple of comments through your comment section, you know, out of like a few thousand, and I found 2 videos, one Quentin Reviews doing a parody on you, and 2, I found Defawfalizer doing a kind of angrily toned voice, but none of it's actually hate, and he explains everything of what he says. So no, I can't find this hate that you're talking about. Well, actually that's not 100% true, because I can find hate, but you want to know where I can find that hate? I find the hate on the videos that debunk your theory, but you want to know what's more interesting though? Whatever hate you get is nothing compared to the hate that the YouTuber who made the video got, even if all of his arguments were logical and proven to be right. So all this hate I find on MatPat, he has to go out of his way to find it. But with 2 exceptions, and those exceptions are the For Honored theory and the TF2 versus Overwatch theory. And heck, it was because you had no idea what you were talking about. Even your loyal theorist, a little more about that later on, could see that it was a bad video. And you want to say you got hate even though there was little to no research done to those videos? Heck, it was blatantly obvious in the TF2 video that you barely play the game at all. Now about the TF2 video, I see there's this little uproar about you deleting comments, and I know you have actually released a video debunking this claim. And yes, I do know that YouTube's comment section is actually pretty broken, so I'll give you a pass on this just because I can't find that original video, so I can't see how legitimate it is. The only thing I found that could be classified as real hate is some of the TF2 memes. And yes, memes, the jokes. And that was all because MatPat tried to cash in on TF2 and completely misrepresenting it. But the thing is, I still don't see any hate for the Pope. I see people saying like PewDiePie should have gone, but as you said before, Ugon was region specific. project, so they can complain about it if they want, I guess, but you had no control and you were never going against him. But the thing that makes me angry the most is that you lump together the people that debunk your theories and hate comments. You just lump them together like that. Why? So that anytime someone sees a debunking of your theory, that's hate? You see, you ask for criticism, but when you get criticized, you lump it as hate, and then now all your fans will start thinking it's hate. Now I hear this thing about you not mentioning whenever you're wrong about something, which is not actually true. The ones that you have admitted that you were wrong in was the Wario's 10 feet tall, a FNAF theory, Rogue One, Jinx is racist, and the Ace Attorney theory. You admitted that you were wrong in the Ace Attorney one, but your defense was that you didn't know about Game 4, and Game 4 debunks the theory, which is kinda true, but you can also debunk it using just Game 1, which is the one you played. The Wario being 10 feet tall, you said it wasn't true just so you can do a different scaling for a different theory. You said the FNAF theory is wrong just so you can do a different theory. You had a video saying Jinx was racist and completely debunked it and said, no, that Jinx is not racist.
Oh, and Mr. Popo? Yeah, he has no excuse.
What the hell, MatPat?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds.
Nah, but in all seriousness, I think MatPat actually hates anime or doesn't care for it, and I'll explain a little more about that later on.
So after a year full of bad predictions, proposing today is that this group in Rogue One turns into this group from the sequel trilogy.
You know what? Even if this theory was wrong, it was still good, but here's why. Because at the time, there was nothing to contradict this theory that I know of. I would much prefer a theory that is wrong later on, but has no contradictions at the time, rather than a theory that is just plain wrong because you took out of context or you just lied and made up facts. But have you noticed something yet? The only time MatPat will admit he is wrong is when he's going to do another theory about something similar or about it again, or if the creator comes out and pretty much says, no, you're wrong. And lastly, the Ace Attorney one, which is him reacting to videos, but he completely downplays why he got it wrong. That is all I'll be saying about Manga Common's video for now, because the rest of what I'm going to say will tie into stuff later. But the interesting thing is, I have actually contacted Manga Common and Optimus and asked what they feel about MatPat now after that video was made, and this is what they had to say. Notice how neither one of them actually hates MatPat, they just don't like the newer content that is being put out. Although the best response was the gamer from Mars, his response was this. No, I'm just joking, he probably didn't see it, but let's go back now. Who's that YouTuber?
It's Wavy Web Surf here. What's up, guys?
Don't worry about me doing it on Wavy because he doesn't mind.
Wavy Web Surf, how would you feel if someone made a video on me? I mean, I wouldn't give a fuck. If they did, it would just be more fucking views for me because I'm a small YouTube channel, so. What if the video was negative? I wouldn't care.
So yes, we are going to look at Wavy, then MatPat's response, and then I'm going to be talking about my final thoughts, what I dislike, and a few things you probably don't know about MatPat.
Now before I go ahead and co-sign everyone else's opinion that MatPat's channel has gone to shit, I want to do a lot of explaining.
While it is good you want to do a lot of explaining, I think it would be better if you did a lot of research, because we all know how much research you actually do.
So today, I want to talk about something that I've seen around a lot, but never really investigated thoroughly until this morning.
Yes, that's from his ASMR video, but both of them have nearly the same amount of research done to them.
Recently, there's been a massive wave of YouTubers who have pretty much turned their back on MatPat.
Well, yeah, they don't owe him anything. They don't have to keep watching his content because they were subscribed to him. It's kind of more MatPat turned his back on old fans, and now old fans are reacting to it.
And have started to make videos criticizing him because of his extensive coverage of Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale. I'm not saying you can't make a critical video towards game theory, but I'm definitely gonna say that you guys are coming with a pretty played out main point. And this main point I keep seeing in all these MatPat exposed / criticism videos is that he's sold out and he's following the money, he's following the algorithm. that Undertale and Five Nights at Freddy's cater to children, so he can make these videos and they won't get demonetized, and he also has a massive fan base of children that are gonna come watch his videos.
Objection!
I'm going to interject here because he keeps repeating himself after this. First of all, yes, everyone does say about the Five Nights at Freddy and Undertale thing, but that's not their main point. Just because everyone has it as a point, it is not the main point. Second of all, yes, he is selling out. I even have a sellout timeline for MatPat, but no, it's actually not at when Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale happened. It's actually way before then, and I'll be showing that later.
Game Theory's channel did exponentially explode after he started making Five Nights at Freddy videos, but I think people are getting this success confused with some sort of malevolent deviation from the original purpose of his channel.
What? We don't get it confused for a malevolent deviation from his channel. It's just a normal malevolent. It's not a deviation.
Many people say MatPat sold out by not making videos about the classics like he used to, like the Mario and the Link videos. And now he's making videos about Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale. But when you think about it, he's following these YouTube crazes. He followed the video game nostalgia craze, and now he's following the Five Nights at Freddy mystery craze and the Undertale craze.
You know, I actually agree with this point. MatPat has always been following trends, and that I'll be showing later.
Another thing that I see in a lot of MatPat criticism videos is they always like to throw around this made-up analytic that they somehow have, that the only people who watch the Five Nights at Freddy videos and the Undertale videos are like 10-year-old children. I mean, are you MatPat? Do you have his fucking login name and password? Can you check that? You're just making assumptions.
Well, I'm not really going to deny that I can get it, but I really don't need it. So, Wavy, because we don't have his login information, we can't assume who is watching it? Well, riddle me this, Wavy. Does this mean we can't assume toy channels are watched by kids? I mean, we don't have their login information, there's no way for us to see their analytics, so it's very possible that all the viewers are adults then. But don't worry, I'll actually explain this one now and pull the wool away from everyone's eyes, and show what MatPat actually did to get those numbers when he revealed his analytics. You see these games? I want you to get a good look at these games, because remember, what they were saying was FNAF and Undertale were the ones dragging in most of the kids. These were the games that were counted for the analytics. Now let's take a look at last month's. Undertale and Five Nights at Freddy's, even Pokemon! He deliberately changed his format for the month. If you go look at the more recent month, there is no other month that has such a drastic change, and that lasts for a month. Looks like it wasn't enough that people who are under the age of 13 and don't have a YouTube account didn't show up on the analytics. And this is all assuming that they're actually telling the truth that they are that age. But there is one more thing that Game Theory capitalizes on, and I'll be explaining that one later. Sorry, it ties into a different point.
So you don't have his login info, dude. Like, quit making assumptions. You don't know the analytics.
Yes, you see these toy channels? Quit making assumptions about kids watching them. You don't know their analytics.
So, I mean, MatPat doesn't deserve hate strictly because he's making, like, the same videos about the same games. I mean, he's just following a trend. It's what he's always done.
You're right, he doesn't deserve hate for just strictly making videos on FNAF and Undertale. But the thing is, no one is hating him strictly for that reason.
So in conclusion of this hate theory, does MatPat really deserve the hate? Does Game Theory really deserve the hate? Game Theory only deserves the hate if you're against a YouTube channel following trends. And if you're against that, then you should hate Game Theory. But other than that, you really shouldn't have a big problem.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not going to harp on Wavy too much, but I am going to prove him wrong, and I'm also going to answer this statement. Now, I never looked at the comments to see what hate you're talking about, but I have seen every single one of your videos, so I can kind of see where the hate is coming from. A lot of your videos either have a lack of explanation, or you completely miss the point. But don't worry, I'll be showing you exactly why there's a lot more reasons to hate MatPat besides for the FNAF and Undertale. Trust me, I'll show you everything about MatPat. But first, let's talk about your channel and how they're underdeveloped videos. The behind the meme video, you say we hate him because he's a normie, which is not all that true, and you make it seem like that's the only thing he's done. The reasons we hate him is that he talks down to his audience, made that video on Anthony Fantanos and then hid behind his mother so he can avoid criticism. He thinks he's above criticism. He went after 4chan without knowing what 4chan was, and that he talks shit about everyone, not just him. He underexplains memes so much that people can be more confused coming out of his videos rather than not knowing anything about them at all. His videos are so bland and formulaic in a bad way, none of his jokes are funny. It's just all around bad content, and all that mixed together is why we call him a normie. We only call him a normie because he's doing the actions of a normie. Although you have done some really good videos recently. The ones about the evolution of YouTube, the evolution of memes. You did good on the Ethan one, which was hilarious because Ethan actually used that as an excuse. You did a really good job on the needle drop one. The second H3H3 one was bad, it completely missed the point. That review of the Content Cop was bad because it didn't really add anything to it. In fact, the only thing I've ever seen anyone add to the Content Cop that I liked was this guy who made the 8th sin that RiceGum committed. Overall, I would say the content is bad, but you are actually getting better as I was making this video, so I'm going to stay subscribed to see where you're going. You say you're like PewDiePie, but there's nothing really about you that is like PewDiePie, besides maybe how you look. I can keep going on and explaining your content, but I think you got the gist of it by now. No matter what though, I'll never regret finding your content, because without you, I would have never found the Willie Mac Show. And oh boy, when I found that content, I was not prepared for what I found. All I'm going to say is he's amazing, and if you like wavy web surf, then you're going to love this guy. Go check out his videos. But now let's get on to the next stuff. Right off the bat, let me tell you how manipulative this is. It's painting MatPat as a victim, and it shows that the videos he's responding to are very aggressive and mean to him. And before you say, oh, they mean hate as in they don't like the content. No. There's this clip that they're talking about right before this all happens.
But not all the rest of the videos we're going to watch today are mean, you guys.
All right.
Saying this is a very subtle trick. What it does is if you're a fan of game theory, it automatically makes you on his side from the get-go. It makes you go, oh, these people are hating game theory? Well, fuck these guys. Let's point and laugh and dislike the video. On a subconscious level, it makes you on his side and clouds your judgment a bit.
Like, we don't respond to this sort of stuff, right?
Yes.
Like, we don't want to necessarily draw attention to it. We don't have, like, I don't know, we don't want to perpetuate negativity in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's like if you talk about it more sometimes, especially if it's stuff that's really just not true, it only makes it bigger. And it's like if it's not true, then, you know, eventually people will figure out that it's not true.
Hopefully.
Like and it's like why, you know, why bother with it if, like, we know it's not true, other people will figure it out eventually.
Say what you will about the research or lack thereof of the video, the content itself. It's a debate show. It is meant to be controversial and get you guys talking, but the thing I take very seriously is the false claim that I was deleting comments, because I firmly believe that the comment section is a place for you guys to interact and to criticize me.
Then why did you do it here? Then why did you showing this negativity completely stop the argument of whether or not you are deleting comments? Will you only respond when you can prove them 100% wrong? Nah, that ain't true, because we have these videos that we're going to be looking at. Also, this is still manipulative. To sum it up, it is saying if you never responded to it, it is wrong and people will see it eventually. What I think is you don't want to draw attention to it because they'll figure out how wrong you are. But don't worry, I'll be showing that later.
And it's also one of those things too where, because the internet is the internet, there's no way that you can ever reach every single person.
Yeah, you can't.
Who, like, you're fighting almost like a losing battle, right? Because a video gets 500,000 views or whatever, there's no way that your response can get back to every single one of those viewers.
Yeah.
Just YouTube's algorithms probably won't show it to them.
Because it won't reach every single person for you to clear up any misconceptions, let's reach 0 people by not clearing up any misconceptions. What brilliant logic, MatPat.
Well, there's a lot of stuff out there. We thought, you know, reacting to haters is a thing that a lot of channels do.
It's fun, right?
And,
yeah!
Well, yeah, we'll see. And it's also one of those things, too, where, like, because we've never put our perspective or kind of our story out there, it's a good chance to kind of clear up misconceptions, because if you don't respond to things, how will people know the truth, right? Or how will they, like, they only have to go off of what other people are telling them.
Yeah.
And in a day and age where it's kind of like, I just got to accept the facts that are shouted at me.
Wait, didn't y'all just say?
Eventually people will figure out that it's not true.
Hopefully.
Like, and it's like, why, you know, why bother with it if, like, we know it's not true? Other people will figure it out eventually.
But now y'all are saying
It's a good chance to kind of clear up misconceptions, because if you don't respond to things, how will people know the truth, right? Or how will they, like, they only have to go off of what other people are telling them?
Yeah.
The other thing I'm constantly showing is that them calling it hate. Way before the video even shows, which there's only one time they ever insult him, and there's countless of times when they are complimenting him, calling him smart. Unless you want to count them saying he's a sellout as hate, and even then they still compliment him way more than they insult him if you count that as an insult. But that's actually provable, which I'll be showing later. The reason I'm constantly going on about the hate is because it's a manipulative word. These videos aren't hateful, and that's how MatPat's getting everyone on their side by manipulating them to automatically think that these are hate videos just coming after MatPat. And then he ends off the live stream by saying, oh, see, I reacted to criticism. So now people can say, oh, look, he reacted to criticism. And yet the new video he puts out, he still titles it as reacting to haters, not reacting to criticism. He puts it as reacting to haters, which is still manipulative. And another thing about him saying that there's all this information, you just gotta believe people. No, we're not gonna listen and believe. In fact, all these channels that debunk you are actively not just listening and believing. They're completely showing you why you're wrong, and now you're pretty much saying any video that you don't respond to automatically wrong, because we just want y'all to listen and believe me, MatPat, not anyone else. Don't listen and believe anyone else, just me. No, don't listen and believe MatPat. Don't listen and believe anyone. Always run the facts.
I know he had a period where he did like a couple 4chan, like he did like top 10s of 4chan for a while. I watched like one of those. Then he started to do stuff like top 10 YouTubers who died, and it's like, ooh, this is
it got a little
really
bit
weird.
dark.
What? MatPat, you're complaining that someone's content is dark? The person who has a theory about a whole bunch of dead bodies inside a cube? Or a theory of turning childhood icons into psychopaths or dead people? When by far the evidence doesn't even hold up and you took them out of context? Meaning you forced that theory that doesn't even hold up? Yeah, you're quite a person to be talking about other people's content being dark.
This one, I think, is the one that started to pop up all these other ones. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I saw this one circulating.
Ooh, nice sleight of hands, MatPat. But for the people that didn't see what happened, I'll explain it. First thing, no, the Gamer from Mars definitely was not the person that started it. Proto Mario was the only person that built off of the Gamer from Mars video. The second thing is, if you never watched the videos, what made you say the Gamer from Mars video was the one that started it all? It's definitely not the release date, because all the videos you have in your tabs were before the Gamer from Mars videos, except for Proto Mario's. It's definitely not the view count, because there was a lot of videos that had more views than the Gamer from Mars video. It's almost as if there's no reason for you to say that, except there is. The reason is, if you say the Gamer from Mars video was the one that sparked it all, and then you debunk the Gamer from Mars video, it manipulates the audience to make them think that all the others are debunked because they're just building off of this. There was literally no reason for you to ever say that this was the one that started it all. I know you say you don't know, but at the same time, there was no reason for you to ever say that it was. I have a feeling you have been watching these videos before the live action, and I'll keep saying why later. And I do know exactly why you've picked these particular videos instead of all the other ones you have inside your tabs. I'll be explaining that later as well, MatPat. Third and lastly, the ones that started it all was Manga Common, Defoffilizer, and Metal Blade 5.
The biggest one that most people notice is his non-stop coverage of Five Nights at Freddy's. Most people conclude it's just because...
Non-stop, guys! Non-stop!
Thank God that's not true.
Do we need to address that one off the bat?
Is that where we're starting?
I feel like a broken record saying this. I did a tweet where I responded to someone too, where if you look, we've done a fair amount of Five Nights at Freddy's coverage.
We've done almost 200 theories.
But we've done 200 episodes.
Stop being misleading. You can't do a theory on a game that doesn't exist, so scratch that 200 off. The amount you covered at the time was 21 and 25%.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
there's no shame in that.
At the end of the day, we are entertainers making a show for you guys, right? And so, yes, absolutely, I'm going to try to expose you guys to games that you haven't heard of or you might not be familiar with, like Half-Life and Petscop and things like that.
I can completely see you exposing people to Petscop. But Half-Life? You mean the game that had a giant meme on Gabe not making Half-Life 3? And in fact is pretty much the inspiration to a lot of his memes? Is the Half-Life 3 and the Steam memes? There is no way you were the one that exposed a whole bunch of people to it. You may have influenced some people, like a very small vocal minority, but the majority of people that watch the video, as more more than likely have already known about Half-Life.
Looking at the script right now, I realize a lot of people are going to say that this is a very cynical video and a very cynical view of this entire situation.
Our whole channel's
And yes,
about criticism. There's nothing wrong with being a little cynical.
Well,
it's conspiracy theories are, we love conspiracy theories.
No, you by far do not love criticism. I'll show you exactly why. And also, you really love conspiracy theories. Well, you're gonna really love my final thoughts then.
I can't ignore Five Nights at Freddy's. This video in the first 12 hours has gotten 2 million views. That tells me, as someone who cares about the community of theorists who have helped to build this channel, that this is a franchise the bulk of viewers care about. If I were to stop covering Five Nights at Freddy's altogether, I would be ignoring the majority of this channel's subscribers.
I mean, that's
true.
I feel like that's true. It is worth noting that he did cut out.
Wait, how did you know he cut out? He was still talking. It's almost like you watched a video before this even happened, just so you can have a manipulative look at it, just so it can seem natural.
Okay.
And I get it. You have to edit out certain things to tell, like, a more compelling story.
Just like how you have to edit out context just to make your theory seem somewhat plausible.
But here, pull it up on screen. He did knock out the part where I specifically say, of 190 episodes of Game Theory when I wrote
175 of them aren't FNAF related.
175 aren't
And I
FNAF.
have our channel up right now. We actually have a Five Nights at Freddy's playlist.
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid it entirely, you can just never watch that playlist.
You can't make a theory on a game that doesn't even exist yet. This is highly misleading data. Don't just ignore the FNAF theories, ignore the whole fucking channel.
And so, and also one of the, and this is a good point to bring this up, I guess, which is people say like, oh, why don't you cover smaller games? Well, like we are.
We
like
do.
we're covering
Bendy and
Kindergarten,
the
we did
Ink
Bendy and the Ink,
Machine,
like
Yeah, you totally covered those games because they were small. Completely not because it was trending on YouTube, because the biggest YouTubers of the website were playing it.
the problem is either there are already dedicated theorists in those specific niche communities.
When has that stopped you before? Proto Mario has done hundreds of Pokemon theories, and you still keep doing Pokemon theories? Why have you not stopped? He's a dedicated theorist to Pokemon and nothing but Pokemon. Oh, wait, because Pokemon's very marketable. So if there's a theorist that does that game, and specifically that game, he doesn't care unless it's not marketable.
Or because they're like... there's so much to them that people will always find a way to criticize you or call you like a noob for coming into, like Dark Souls.
No, MatPat, finish that sentence. Let everyone know that you don't want people proving you wrong. You don't want to go to a small game because the people that know that game actually know that game and can destroy your theories easily.
But everyone, when I did the Dark Souls theory, everyone called me like a noob or a poser because, oh, you are just covering Dark Souls now to be trendy. And it's like, no, like... I wanted to cover something different, and we did, and it's I think it's a pretty solid, well-researched theory. But that's
really
always the trouble.
People get really mad.
And what's up, Jason?
Question.
Yes, sir.
How is Dark Souls trendy?
I mean,
I know.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the fact of it just coming out, it being very popular, Dark Souls 3 being said to be better than Dark Souls 2. I don't know. Just the average things to make stuff popular.
So yeah, and then stuff like Petscop is you know,
very
really
small
out
community.
there. Yeah.
Fair enough, except you use that to manipulate your statistics and audience, so...
The double-edged sword, though, comes when, like, the Ace Attorney one is actually a really good example where
Yeah.
I played the first Ace Attorney game, I did a theory about it, and then the, like, fan base just ripped me apart because they're like, well, in episode 4 of the series... you know, everything you say is proven true, and of course he's villainous and this and that. Like, I didn't know, and usually I try to, like, research as many of the games as possible, but there's only so much that you can know about in a period of time.
Andy,
Like,
that's ridiculous.
What did you just say, MatPat?
I played the first Ace Attorney game, I did a theory about it, because they're like, well, in episode 4 of the series... you know, everything you say is proven true, and of course he's villainous and this and that. Nigga, that's that bullshit!
MatPat, how much of an ego do you have to listen to the criticism of the Ace Attorney video and still say you got it correct and got proven right? There was almost nothing correct in that whole fucking theory. It was flawed from head to toe. Sadly enough, the only things you got right has no bearing on the theory at all. But don't worry, we all know why you said it like that. Oh, hey kids, see, even when I'm proven wrong, I'm still proven right. See, little kids, I am the smartest. And not to mention, you saying episode 4 is highly misleading misleading. It's not episode 4, it's case 5 in the same game. You know, the game that you said you played. And it's not like something you could just skim over. It goes into detail inside the game itself. MatPat, did you even play the game at all? If you want to know more about why this theory was just terribly flawed head to toe, I'm going to point you to Manga Commons video. But this shows exactly why you can't take criticism. When you get presented with evidence why your theory was wrong, you go around saying, oh look, this theory proves me correct. No. And then you say, oh, the Phoenix Wright fans all harped on me even though it's correct. No! The reason they harped on you because you completely got it all wrong. You cannot take criticism. But more about you not being able to take criticism later, because you do a perfect line that I'm going to definitely comment on.
How dare you not know everything about every game and TV show and movie and anime ever made? That's unacceptable.
Yeah, that is a little ridiculous, except for that we're not asking him to know everything about every medium. We're just asking for him to know about the ones he's talking about and making a whole theory about it without having to take stuff out of context or completely lying about the facts. Oh, and this comes off as, what? It's okay to be wrong. It's just theories. You know, theories that are meant to be tested to see if it's true. Yeah, it's completely okay to be wrong, and this isn't some really retarded statement.
Some of the fan bases are real, they don't want new people, which is really sad.
It is, it's tough.
They don't want to invite new people in to appreciate a game, or anime has this same issue as well, where they feel like their doors are closed, and that's sad.
Hell no, to the no, 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 yeah, to the no.
Well, maybe you don't know the reason for this, and I'll explain it later, but I'll let you know it's not anyone, it's specifically you.
And the subreddit of Petscop was literally counting down the days until Game Theory ruins this community because all of his fans are going to rush in and trash it like they did all these other franchises. It's like, I don't know. To me, I would be excited to have more people to bounce ideas off of and talk to and who are fans of my thing, because then there's a chance that I will get more of that thing.
And I'll especially be explaining this one because there is a good reason for this.
It is sad to see some of those communities who are like, no, we don't want any new people.
And my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain.
Nice straw man you got there for this argument, although I still will be explaining it later.
He is leaving out one important detail that I think everybody kind of realizes in the back of their head.
Money.
These videos are getting so many views because they're being watched by very young children.
Oh, okay, no, stop it, stop it, no. And I've seen this, and I've seen this one pop up all over the place, and it is wrong.
You know how to...
Hey, MatPat, what's the point of getting the question wrong? We already know you've seen this before. Is it to manipulate the audience to seem like it's a natural reaction? Well, let's see where you're gonna go with this.
Everyone assumes that FNAF is for the kids.
Hey everyone, let's keep that in mind. FNAF is not for the kids.
Game Theory is one of the oldest skewing gaming channels out there as far as viewership
we
demographics.
have some of the fewest kids of any gaming channel.
We actually do. So, wait,
GT Live?
can you
GT
pull
Live
up the demographics?
So, yes. So, for the first time ever, Jason, I think, pulled this up beforehand. So, for the first time ever, we are actually going to show you guys the demographics of Game Theory.
Yeah, but it's too bad y'all skewed the results.
I think we can also pull up a FNAF video.
Yeah, I was gonna. Can we
specifically show? Should we start there, or should we start with the channel?
No, let's start. So the channel.
So let's start with the channel. Jason, can you pull it up? Okay, so this is what, if you've never looked at the analytics on YouTube, this is what your demographics look like on YouTube. So, and when we are live, this isn't a screen grab, we are live on the website. This is our demographics for the channel. You can see this is for the last month. This is recent. This is August 2017 through now.
Yeah, skewed results. Let's get to the FNAF one because I'm more interested about that, and I will explain that one.
13 to 17-year-olds.
And it's worth mentioning that, like, it makes sense, right? Because the channel talks about, like, let's talk about the physics of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, like, murder, like a child dying in Petscop.
Yeah, let's talk about PewDiePie or boobs or the Mario franchise or Pokemon or literally almost every other video on your channel. Seriously, you're saying that as if your channel has no reason for kids to ever click on it.
If you're a kid, you actually can't really appreciate a lot of...
It's actually difficult to...
Those really hard concepts.
Hard concepts like PewDiePie, Mario, Pokemon, Undertale, FNAF, all those really hard concepts concepts.
And the other thing which I know will come up is that, hey, you can't see data on YouTube under 13 years old, which is true, but usually if you have a big young demographic, and this is just a fun fact if you're ever like looking at channels on YouTube, what you tend to see is a massive, massive spike of viewers.
Can you crop this,
that are
Jason?
like 45 years old, and we have a few who are like 45 years old.
Don't worry, I'll explain it for you. I'm still waiting for the FNAF analytics.
So Minecraft channels?
Yes.
Like younger skewing games, younger.
And it's because they're parents.
Ugh, hurry up with your points already. I'm having to cut out you repeating yourself. It's almost like you don't want to talk about the other videos. Oh, wait a minute.
This is Five Nights at Freddy's. This is what everybody complains about.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, Five Nights at Freddy's is for the kids. Five Nights at Freddy's is for the young
And
people.
again, this is
whatever.
live. We're looking at the actual site.
Yeah, this is the sister location. Like, oh, it's memory disk.
Finally, we get to this. The first thing I want to point out is that MatPat doesn't even show that it's actually the FNAF theory. And because MatPat has trouble reading, I wouldn't take his word on it. But for argument's sake, let's just say it is. Now, this is the statistics of last month, not the month that it came out. Why is that important though? Because if it's going to be the little kids watching it, the little kids are going to be watching it when it came out. They are constantly searching for the newest ones. Not only that, for how long FNAF has been going on for, the popularity has been dying out. A lot of the kids are going to the newer games now. And there's also more reasons why this shows more kids than adults, and I'll explain that right now as well. And it's very simple, and that's because MatPat's target audience isn't little kids. MatPat's target audience is actually 9 to 23-year-olds, and the reason is MatPat's channel works very differently from toy channels and unboxing channels like he's going on about. The reason why toy channels and unboxing channels show a much older audience is because the parents are too old to know YouTube all that well. There's still a lot of the older audience that don't know YouTube all that well, and they just look up toy channels for their kids. Now the thing about game theory is you don't randomly look up toys or anything like that and find game theory. You kind of have to specifically be looking for it, which is where the 23-year-olds come in. They come to the channel, subscribe, see a whole bunch of things they like, and also for the little kids stuff, they can have their child watch it. Their child watch it as much as they want. Who cares? Because MatPat is friendly. But if he only had 23-year-olds, that wouldn't be enough. He also has to go with the 9-year-olds to attract a huge audience, which would be for FNAF. But the thing about 9 to about 12-year-olds, they're starting to learn YouTube pretty well to know how to make a fake account. And if they're going to be making a fake account, it's going to be older than 18. And you would be thinking, why would they make an account older than 18? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's called incentive. If you have an incentive to do something, it makes it done a lot more often. Is there an incentive to have an account older than 18? Yes, there is, because it unlocks age-restricted content, which MatPat has on his channel. But even if MatPat didn't have any on his channel, that doesn't stop other people from having that on their channel as well, and they would have to create an account just to unlock for that channel. And if they unlock it for that channel, do you think they will go back to their old channel just to watch game theory? Nope. The only thing you can rely on YouTube statistics is that it's definitely not what it says. MatPat definitely tries to entertain both age varieties from 23 all the way to 9, because more than likely they either don't have enough time to backcheck his research, or they're not smart enough to backcheck his research, or they just don't care to backcheck his research. And this is very important because almost half of his content is wrong, and I'll be showing that later.
Put that one to bed. We are actually one of the older skewing gaming demographics. GT Live is actually younger.
Well, that could have something to do with streaming Five Nights at Freddy a lot, but didn't you say Five Nights at Freddy wasn't for children? Then why is your GT Live a much younger age? I mean, the topics are the same, FNAF and FNAF. It doesn't matter if you're making a theory or if you're playing the game. If FNAF is not for children, then it shouldn't have children on it, by your logic.
Look at this. Look at this mess right here.
GT Live.
No one wants to see this.
I agree with that. What? He said it.
Say what you will about the channel, but stop using that as an excuse, because it's not.
You know what? I actually agree with this statement, because even if his channel was 100% kids or 100% adults, it doesn't change the content at all. Trust me, the content is terrible enough by itself. We don't need them to be watched by children to say it's terrible. Just look at CNN. It's mostly adults that watch it, and yet it's a complete joke. It doesn't matter who watches it. All that matters is the content itself and the person that's making the content.
There's plenty of other stuff about him you can criticize.
Yeah, don't worry, I will. The only reason I wanted to debunk this age thing is because you manipulated the statistics a lot. Because as MatPat has said,
just be aware, sometimes the data doesn't lie, but the way it's presented does. Okay, so that one's put to bed.
Yep. No thanks to you, though.
Little kids need something to watch.
You're right, and that is Minecraft unboxings and Roblox.
And game theory.
You'll realize that his channel was
sticking around.
pandering to that demographic.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, now with 100% more flash and 500% more audience pandering.
Nah, but in all seriousness, I can go into great detail about how he's pandering using color theory, shape theory, and also how he has a massive change in his jokes and how they're executed. But I really don't care if he's pandering. I'll just say he's not to get the argument over with. If someone wants to make a video about how he's pandering and is actually accurate, then I will link it in the video.
Where he always had scantily clad women in the thumbnails to
We
try to
should
get more
probably
clicks.
talk about that.
So what happened to his channel? He started pandering to a different demographic.
Wait, is he saying that Game Theory is bad now because it no longer has boobs?
No, he was saying you're very clickbaity, which you still are. And I know you're going to bring up the boobs episode, but what explanation do you have for this? This had nothing to do with the theory. And before you go, oh, it was inside the video. Yeah, but literally, if you take it out of the video, nothing of the video changes. It's what I like to call useless information. Sound familiar? Which he still does. Which is also one of the things I was talking about at the beginning. Yeah, I'm bringing that all the way back up. People might think only his newer videos had useless information, which is completely wrong. Both his new and old ones had useless information, and this isn't even the only one that he's done this with. As for the clickbait part, take a look at this. Is the Emoji Movie breaking the law? Well, you click on the video and at the beginning, MatPat says yes, it's illegal. Then you get through the video saying no, it's not illegal. But I guess that's not technically clickbait. So let's go to the next thing. Pickle Rick actually works. Then the conclusion, Pickle Rick doesn't actually work. Or how about the doctor is real? And then the conclusion, the doctor isn't real. Seriously, MatPat's content is clickbait as hell. That's not even all the videos that are like that. His channel has so much more. Not many people know this, but there is a difference in clickbaits. There is good clickbait and bad clickbait. MatPat actually has both on his channel, good and bad, but the bad clickbait far outweighs the good.
Matthew actually did the very early episode on fake boobs in gaming, which I greenlit, by the way.
Huh. Nice to see who runs the channel, MatPat.
What were we both thinking?
I know, right?
Jeez.
Jeez.
Actually, I know exactly what I was thinking.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
It was intentionally clickbaity.
Yes, I don't think there's anyone arguing that it's not clickbaity, and I think I know why you're spending so much time on this, but I'll be explaining that later.
I've actually never looked at porn.
Yeah, after all the lies that MatPat has told over the years, this I actually do believe. It explains a lot, but I don't think I'll go into that in this video.
There were a lot of people who were like, why did you do the boob episode back? That was the earliest controversy on the channel.
Well, that's surprising considering you had the Skyrim episode, the Mary Jinx is Racist episode, and also the Jinx is Racist episode.
Well, the way I justified it was, you need to do something that gets a lot of views in order to do other content that might not be as popular, in order to, like, because the other content is worthwhile, right? Like, the other content is equally substantial and is gonna have, like, good education and this and that.
Yeah, that's how you justified it back then, but you're still doing that to this day, and I'm not seeing this worthwhile content anytime soon, and I'll be explaining that later.
In the earliest days, Game Theory was actually structured to be a lot more clickbaity, like, without exaggeration.
It's true.
I feel like it's actually a lot more honest now, and we try to, like, make the thumbnails and titles, like, actually relate.
Yes, the newer content is actually more honest now. Instead of just lying inside the videos, now you're lying inside the thumbnails and titles.
The channel has changed. It's become not clickbaity
Well,
in the same way that it used to, or to the same level. Yeah,
I don't know,
it's still clickbaity. Come on, you guys.
Well, it's nice to see you can actually admit it. Instead of having boobs in the thumbnails, now you're just straight up lying.
Like, pandering to kids, I think, is if there had been a shift, you would also think there'd be like a language shift and stuff like that.
Oh, you mean like how MatPat used to curse and bleep out the curse word, but now he doesn't even do that? Or do you mean like how Austin always curses inside his videos and MatPat won't even let him do that? Austin used to be able to have it be bleeped, but now he can't even do that. He now has to make up a word for a curse word. Not to mention the jokes have changed like how MatPat used to do it. One of his jokes was, you know what they say about assuming, it makes an ass out of you and me. But now he won't even say ass on his channel. So there is a language change, as well as all of the jokes have become more pandering. Oh. Yeah, no, I really don't care about this topic, but if you want to keep defending it, I will keep bringing up evidence for it.
Well, it's also that's not true to me, right? And so, like, if I had suddenly, like, was cursing and then removed it, yeah, then I'm pandering to younger audience, but that's just the way that I am.
Oh, you mean a lot like Austin's content?
That would have also been a valid choice, by the way. If you decide, like, hey, I'm not going to curse in videos anymore, I would applaud people for that. Like, hey, you probably don't need that if your content's great.
Right, you don't.
Unless it's probably like an integral part of your format or something.
Unless it's probably like an integral part of your format or something.
Oh, you mean a lot like Austin's content?
Somewhere in April, because that's when he started talking about being an introvert all the time for some reason. Before April, he never talked about being an introvert a single time on Twitter. But then all of a sudden, he started talking about it nonstop.
Okay, that's interesting, and he
that's fair.
He brings
I
up a
think
good
that's
point. Yeah, I still run
We
social
don't-
media is stressful.
We don't have a social media manager.
Yeah, we don't have any of that.
There's
Like a
none
lot of other
that.
people do. We know those people, but like
We don't have it. Like Matthew is posting all of those bad tweets.
But I can understand how there would be confusion about the introvert stuff because he's right. I never tweeted about it. I also. So for those of you who don't know my personality type, I'm actually 50-50 extrovert, introvert. I guess it's an ambivert, technically.
When I type MattPat's tweets into Google, I'll either find it on a really popular Reddit post or I'll find it on a Twitter.
Is this just a coincidence? Yes. It is.
These jokes are so basic anyone could have thought of them. You could have easily just said that the tweets were jokes and had no meaning behind them. And when you think of one joke, it's very easy to come up with a new joke that is similar to the other joke. But that's not what MattPat does. He wants to say he's an ambivert just so he can flip-flop between being an introvert and an extrovert. I'm not saying ambiverts don't exist, but I find it highly unlikely that MattPat is one concerning a lot of other things he does. Not just because I think he does a whole bunch of stuff that are extrovert traits, but the fact that he says a lot of stuff just so he can flip-flop on everything, so that you can't tie him down to one specific thing he's said, but I'll be showing that later.
Yet all of a sudden he's going to start talking about being a shut-in. This is the same guy that met with the Pope. I know this is a really
no introverts have ever met with the Pope. How dare you?
No one is allowed to meet with the Pope.
Actually, they send you a questionnaire before you meet the Pope, and one of the questions is, are you an introvert or extrovert? If you check
Yes or
introvert,
no.
you're off the list.
Yeah,
No introverts have ever met the Pope. That's so silly. But if you are an introvert, then you can't meet the Pope. What brilliant logic they have. And on that note, being an ambivert, you just mark extrovert. It's almost like you had incentive to mark extrovert instead of introvert.
So people, that's a good one on screen right now. Step 1, start typing, watching a YouTube video. Step 2, type awesome, mind blown. People were like, MattPat, that's like, you stole that from like 3 years ago. I had never seen it before.
I call bullshit on this one. When this was first implemented, it was everywhere, and this became a copy pasta. They kept typing it just like this, exactly like this, with the exact capitals, the exact punctuations like this. Literally everything is exactly the same, even the mind blown part. It could have easily been something like, hey guys, full screen and type awesome into YouTube video. Mind blown. That one would have seemed a lot more believable, but I don't really care. This is just stupid.
And he's tweeting things that his audience wants to hear, which I guess is not wanting to leave the house or interact with others, and jokes that wouldn't even be put on The Big Bang Theory. This all leads back.
Oh, shots fired, Big Bang Theory!
MattPat won't let you forget it's a hateful video, but the only time a hateful comment happens, he laughs at it saying it was a shot at the Big Bang Theory when, for one, no it's not. MattPat, let people think it's not a shot at the Big Bang Theory, it's a shot at you, by far.
But hey, that's just a theory. A gay... I'm not doing it.
He's
All right.
insinuating that you're gay.
This week we're taking an up-close look at one huge cock.
Yeah, totally. It's not the fact that if you pause saying game, it goes to gay, and it's definitely not the outro that MattPat always says. But in all honesty, I am expecting a little too much from you. I would not expect you, of all people, to understand that.
Okay.
We might not be able to do the
full one, yeah, we can.
Okay, that's fine.
They really try to make this seem natural, but it's not. They're specifically skipping at certain spots and specifically ending the video at certain spots. And I'll be going over why and where.
The game theorists, it used to be a...
They hate game theory because of Nugget.
It kind of got into the science behind games and stuff like that, but of course that now seems like it's been forever ago, as today's game theory...
We measured the heck out of those chicken nuggets, I'm telling you!
He's saying that the science and math has been forever ago.
We measured the spring force of chicken nuggets!
No, I'm agreeing with MattPat on this one. You used a science video that recently came out to show that they weren't doing science videos recently. Whatever.
The content has just, it's become underdeveloped, and it seems like it's intentionally stretched out for ad revenue, and this is not the...
For revenue.
Stretched out for revenue. Okay,
Revenue,
so first off, that's another misconception on YouTube. You do not, there is no like 10-minute mark.
I think it's a common thing that people talk about, like, oh, do people make videos do
Artificially
people
longer.
make videos artificially longer? And this is one that we actually talk to a lot of creators about. What happens with those channels is they do a clickbaity thumbnail, a clickbaity title, and you can go into their retention and you can see that people drop way off, and then they're kind of clicking around to look for like where the thumbnail actually is, because it's nowhere. And you can tell when people are really like annoyed and they're not willing to watch the video, and then you'll see it like spike right at the end, because that's where you see the thumbnail image come from. Yeah. And you can tell when people like are artificially drawing out videos, because viewers are smart. They don't watch videos that are artificially stretched out. Viewers are smart. They don't watch videos that are artificially stretched out. Viewers are smart. They don't watch videos that are artificially stretched out.
Bullshit. Don't worry, I'll be having a field day on this topic later.
And like, you don't get more money for crossing an artificial threshold on YouTube. There's no once
don't.
you hit 10 minutes, yes, you can run mid-rolls, and we could run mid-rolls, but we don't. Again, like, MatPat selling out, no, like, technically it is within our right as like per YouTube, like, oh, you crossed the 10-minute mark, you can run mid-rolls. We don't. Like, we actively do not do that because we think it would be intrusive to your viewing experience.
Intrusive to our viewing experience, remember that.
So like, yeah, we could make twice as much off of every video. Yeah, we don't have to. We don't want to.
Yeah.
But then, so that's one thing. But then the other thing is, it is true that longer videos do get served on YouTube more. They win out in suggested search because they get more watch minutes. Yeah. So that is a thing. That is true.
And that is what you do. And I'll be explaining how you artificially stretch instead of your video naturally being that long later.
We actually spend a lot more time trying to shorten videos. Like, a lot of times,
especially now that people don't like the two-parters.
Yeah, people hate the two-parters.
We heard that loud and clear, and so I've really been trying to force things into 15 minutes.
No, you do quite the opposite. You actually try to stretch your videos to be longer. You'll make a multiple video series where you can just cut out the first videos and nothing will change of the series. Or the other thing is you just stretch out the theory just to be multiple episodes long. And lastly, what you do with your multiple parters is sometimes if the relevance is being lost, you will hold on to the theory until relevance picks back up, just so you can have it trending so it can get maximum views. Because you don't care how long you make your audience wait for it. What you want is it to be trending so a whole bunch of new people can see it instead.
And back in the day, it was like maybe 5 to 9 minutes usually
a
video. And now, you know, like the longest episodes would have been like 14 to 18 minutes.
So, trust me, here's the thing. If, like, I could condense theories that I was proud of into 5 to 10 minutes, that'd be great. Like, I said at the beginning of the stream, it takes 100 hours to make a video. If I could cut that in half, it would be amazing. And actually, like, that would be great, because then we could pump out more game theories, and then we would make more money, and then it would get more views. And, like, all the stuff that people pile on, like, oh, you're doing all these creative decisions to get, like, you know, get more money, or whatever. That's not it.
Fine. If you don't want to say it, MatPat, then I will. The first thing is, you don't want your content to be faster. You have talked about subscriber burnout, which is why you don't want to release your videos faster. Because if you do release your videos faster, then your audience will start burning out of your content. You don't want to make your videos shorter, because if your videos are shorter, then they're less likely to be suggested against other videos. The higher retention time, plus the views, plus the comments makes the video get suggested more often. If you cut all your theories down to 7 minutes and started uploading every 3 days, to you that would be the death of your channel, because you think people will get burned out and won't be watching it. And the last thing is, you'll have a lot more trouble trying to keep up with trending topics. Instead of releasing every week, you would be releasing every 3 days. I know you might say, well, why doesn't he just not release a trending topic? And to that I say, have you seen his channel? It's nothing but trending topics.
A terrible length, especially if we're going really into depth with one of the theories. I had no problem with that, especially
oh man, he's showing the merch. Wait,
14 to 18 minutes or two.
Where's the merch?
Wait a minute, what did MatPat just skip?
I had no problem with that, especially since, you know, the 14 to 18 minutes was like an outlier video, but the videos now are averaging like 14 to 18 minutes, and it's not because, you know, they're adding on to the theories, they're not adding anything constructive, they're not going more in depth, they're not using any different type of quote-unquote science. None of that shit. It's literally just MatPat pretending to be funny, failing attempts at humor, and just adding redundant jokes and skits into the videos that just don't make any sense or don't belong in the video whatsoever. Truth be told, I'm not going to the game theorists, you know, for comedy. Okay, there's plenty of other YouTubers who...
Later in the video, you want Optimus to be explaining on what he says, but now when he's explaining on what he says, you skip it.
That's
I'm
not our
not
merch.
going there to hear MatPat attempt at comedy. And when I mean underdeveloped, I mean, you know, they got all the cool editing and everything.
Thank you.
They spend a lot of time editing their videos.
Clap and a half to
Wait, is this
Thomas and everyone.
Is he making fun of the merch
They
now,
write
or is he
thesis.
making? What is he doing?
He's showing the merch, but
He's just
this is me.
advertising the merch?
This is me a sellout.
Wait, is this
Thomas and everyone.
Is he making fun of the merch
They
now,
write
or is he
thesis.
making? What is he doing? That's
I'm
not our
not
merch.
going there to hear MatPat attempt at comedy. And when I mean underdeveloped,
Wait, is this
Thomas and everyone.
Is he making fun of the merch
They
now,
write
or is he
thesis.
making? What is he doing?
The other thing he's trying to get you to do is ignore what he's trying to say. And he's also trying to discredit anyone that calls him a sellout by saying, hey, these are why people are calling me a sellout. When no, that's not even close to the reason.
but it seems
That's
as
me
if
a sellout.
not only the
Hey,
theories,
I like that
but
shirt.
the premise of the video itself just always seems to be
love
really
that.
lackluster.
That was
Not
so
even
fun.
that the theory
Oh look, more trying to discredit people that call him a sellout, even though that's not even the point that people are using to call him a sellout. And also they're trying to yell over Optimus so you can't hear his points of putting them into a bad light. But not too much of a bad light, because I'll show what happens later when you put him in too much of a bad light.
are, quote, stupid. It's more or less that they're just digging and they're reaching for shit that doesn't matter, or
Wait, are you?
for
Wait,
theories
what are
that
you making
just
fun of now?
don't make any sense. And
So the theories don't make
theories
sense, or
don't
we're
make
digging
sense.
too deep.
Okay.
I
The
mean, he's
problem-
showing Sans' nest, which people really didn't like.
People didn't like that one.
Yeah,
I still
okay, that's
liked
one.
it.
That's one episode out of 190.
Is that really the defense you want to use, MatPat? Okay then. Neo, roll the clip. Now 44 may not seem like much, but here's the thing. This is only counting up until the day this video was released. This is not counting all the theories that were wrong after this video. Well, if that still doesn't sound like enough, this is only counting the theories I could 100% disprove. There's a lot of theories that have problems with the theory, but I can't 100% disprove it, and I didn't include it. Now, if that still doesn't sound like enough, I didn't even include film theory into here. If I include film theory into here, which has over 50% wrong, that number would skyrocket. So what was that, MatPat? Only one theory that was wrong? You also conveniently forgot all the times you admitted to being wrong in other theories? You know, just to make this point and saying, oh, he only had a problem with the Sans' Nest? You know, something like that?
The companion cube is full of dead bodies. That's an old game theory that I think a lot of people would write off as being over the top or unbelievable, or like, why would they include that in the lore? That's looking too deeply into it.
MatPat has a way to discredit people that debunk his theories. He is saying that they think that the theory is too far out there and there's no way that they would include it into the lore, and that he's just digging too deep. But instead what they are actually saying is that he's getting the facts wrong, and it contradicts the in-game lore as well, and that he's constantly taking stuff out of context to make his theories work. But no, they are wrong because they think it's too over the top. A theory can be over the top, but as long as it doesn't contradict the game, it's an okay theory. But MatPat is saying the only reason they have a problem with it is because it's over the top, instead of that MatPat got his facts wrong.
You don't have to, just because you do a video on a theory doesn't mean you believe it.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that Batpatton goes and peddles a lot of his theories as if they're 100% truth. For an example, just take a look at the Mario's mental theory. Every time he brings up Mario, he even brings up that, hey, Mario's mental. He has gone as far as saying that he thinks that the Mario's mental theory is true, and constantly brings it up anytime he mentions Mario. But here's the problem with this line of thinking. We're not saying you have to believe it in order to make the theory. We're saying at least not have the evidence contradict itself inside the game, because a lot of MatPat's theories are completely debunked just by using the game itself. Do we expect you to believe it? No. Do we expect you to actually put research into the theory? Yes.
Today we're out to solve this Maiden's mystery, and what we find throws everything you thought you knew about the Mario universe out the window. Well, except for the fact that he's a sociopath, which is still 100% legit.
Man, we're uncovering some pretty twisted hidden lore.
Have you watched any of my Mario videos? It's a really dark franchise. That person is your fan until they get bored of you, or you say something about Mario that irrationally offends them and they unsub or whatever.
Sometimes it's just like, hey, wouldn't it be fun, or wouldn't it be interesting, or wouldn't it be scary if this were true? And so let's put together a story around it, so, as much evidence as we can, and hey, does it get you to think about something differently? Does it teach you something interesting? Then that's all it needed to do. It doesn't necessarily have to convince you every time. It really is, oh God, just a theory.
Well, yes, this would be fun, but only if the game's evidence actually backs it up. If the game actually contradicts it, it's not even a theory. It's actually just a hypothesis. Before you can go from hypothesis to theory, you have to do some testing, and the testing part is seeing if there's anything that contradicts it. So no, most of your theories aren't even theories. And there's a lot of people saying that you have some unfalsifiable theories, which I say no. They're just not trying hard enough. They're clearly falsifiable.
At the end of the day, it's an excuse to get people to think critically, think the opposite, think about, like, learn about a physics topic or whatever that they've never been exposed to before.
This reminds me back when people got caught for doing stuff and they blamed it on them trying to just start a discussion to hide up the things they were doing. And I don't think MatPat is the best place to be learning stuff from, and I'll be explaining that a little later.
Is because MatPat is literally unable to take or refute any forms of criticism whatsoever. Anything you say against him is immediately ousted as hate.
Hold up.
He's a sensitive flower. He's a sensitive flower.
I'm really curious where he's going, because maybe
have you ever responded to criticism?
No, and that's, I hear this one a lot too, and I don't know why. That person is your fan until they get bored of you, or you say something about Mario that irrationally offends them and they unsub or whatever. I've gotten through the Sonic is Slow controversy. I've had literal petitions written to remove me from the internet for slandering Mario's name by calling him a sociopath, but this one hurt. And the hate that video received in the first week. I mean, this was a video where I specifically talk about accepting others and saying no to hating other groups of people.
Then not all the rest of the videos we're gonna watch today are mean, you guys.
All right, I don't know. We don't want to perpetuate negativity in a lot of ways. Yeah. Reacting to haters is a thing that a lot of channels do.
It's fun, right?
And
yeah.
Well, not the haters! Ah, the haters!
There it is.
I've been observing the Game Theory channel for a really long time. In fact, I think I remember finding it when it only had a couple hundred subscribers. That I think MatPat is a very smart individual who is very good at what he does. It's very clear he has a good understanding of what he talks about. It's actually pretty genius because he basically predicted that something like the adpocalypse was going to happen and that the videos where he had women with cleavage in the thumbnail were probably going to get demonetized. MatPat is really intelligent.
If you asked him, say, why he was such a sellout, which somebody actually did, and it ended up being the most upvoted post on the entire AMA, he just wasn't going to respond to you. Now, I don't think MatPat is a bad person. I just think that he's unable to take criticism.
So I want to begin by talking about not wanting to hate this individual. The Game Theorist is who I'm going to be speaking on. And I don't come from a position of hate. Whatever beef we had in the past, it's been long buried. The hatchet's buried, water under the bridge. Now, I need to emphasize this one last time. There is no hate towards the Game Theorist right now.
And 5, since this seems to be mandatory, yet no matter how many times I say it, I don't hate MatPat, I'm not jealous of the Game Theorists, and if anyone brings that sort of thing up as a means to deflect any criticism of MatPat and his channels, then I refuse to take you serious since you're not willing to actually bring any actual evidence.
Not the hater!
There it is.
Where I'm like, hey, all of you people giving me a hard time about the Sans' Nest theory.
Which, now that I think of it, MatPat has never actually admitted he was wrong about the Sans' Nest theory. He's alluded to people not liking the theory, and he has said people have found problems with it, but he's never actually has said that the Sans' Nest theory was wrong.
MatPat is not the face of YouTube. If anybody...
No, nor is 10 people the face of YouTube, but anytime...
There's no number of people that could possibly represent all of YouTube.
No.
I actually disagree with this. If you get everyone from YouTube to go there, that would represent YouTube. And then what you would have to do is take off one person at a time until it's not representing YouTube anymore. And then that would be the number it would take to represent YouTube.
But apparently this was turned into an entire subject where everybody hated
What's
on
wrong
MatPat.
with Austin?
Okay.
What? No one said anything about Austin. In fact, his theories are actually really good. But I know, you're just going on what you see. If it wasn't for the fact that this was rehearsed, I would have to be asking why are you even here? I mean, just look at what you did when you saw the merch. You're chirping like a bird going, merch, 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 merch. Oh wait, did I just say this was rehearsed? Oh yeah, I'll get to that later.
It's okay, real quick, it's also worth noting on that one too, because I can see where he's...
I don't even know
there was
what
some anyway, real quick, people went back to the Undertale videos and like, the hate wasn't that bad. It was pretty intense.
It was really bad there at the beginning.
In certain like communities, especially on Tumblr and stuff, when the video first came out. Over time has been very kind to Sans' Nest and the Undertale theories. Like, if you look at those videos now, and I was surprised going back and looking at those videos, how positive they are now. But when they were first released, it was really intense. So it's hard to kind of convey to you guys how tough that moment was.
The reason why time was so good to this theory was because they already proved you wrong. There's no point in constantly proving you wrong. Not to mention anything that proves you wrong, you just count as hate.
All kinds of different shit happened. I don't know. It was really stupid.
But it's the second. But it's the second most reason why you're not watching us anymore, which I don't get.
No, you're just pretending not to know what he's talking about. He's talking about you being able to meet the Pope. He's not talking about unable to take criticism, which was his number 2 reason.
There's a psychological phenomenon where people have that like one instance that they latch onto and use that as the example.
I think it's the same thing that relates back to the thing that everybody...
We actually covered that in the Undertale Pope video.
People could give you 100 compliments and they could give you one piece of criticism and you remember the one piece of criticism. We all do it.
And especially you, because I went and read every single comment on your YouTube channel. It's like 1 in every 20,000 comments will you get hate. And that's lumping in criticism with the hate. Because we all know you lump in criticism with hate, which is a really bad thing to do. Because when you lump in criticism with hate, you're just saying you can't be criticized at all unless the criticism agrees with you, which by that point, it's not really all that much criticism.
But the internet does it too, which is really interesting.
Yeah, but the internet thinks it's always right.
Says the person who can't even admit when his theories are wrong anymore, aside from if the movie comes out and destroys his theory.
If you criticized MatPat, he was not going to respond to you, even though you could ask him anything. If you asked him, say, why he was such a sellout, which somebody actually did, and it ended up being the most upvoted post on the entire AMA.
Okay.
This is the Reddit AMA?
Yeah, this is okay. So
I don't think people know how Reddit AMAs really work behind the scenes.
Well, especially that.
It's kind of.
Actually, I don't know how they.
I don't know
work.
how they work.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Why is expired eye candy even here? All she's doing is contradicting the facts and then just agreeing with what he says. Just watch how much she will just constantly be saying yes in a little bit while I'm making the other point.
I've only done one Reddit AMA. I've only seen behind the scenes of one Reddit AMA, and it was mine.
Yeah.
And it was set up by YouTube with Reddit. So YouTube reached out to Reddit and said, hey, we want to do a MatPat AMA. They asked the most upvoted questions.
Yep.
To me, and I would just verbally give back my response, and they would type it up because they had someone who was a really fast. And it was
they
verbatim.
had someone like doing it in real time to make it faster so that he could answer more questions.
Yeah.
And we only had an hour to do it in person.
I mean, I told them, give me every question. I don't know, like, I don't know why. Why are
Matthew,
you a sellout?
Don't lie. That wasn't true. There was one question that we said, like, hey, try and avoid this one. They asked us, do you have sensitivities? The only thing we said was, if someone asked, is Stephanie pregnant? Let's skip that one.
That is true.
Baby.
I kind of don't want to believe this, but at the same time, you did say YouTube was the one handling the comments, and YouTube has a tendency to filter out stuff they don't want, so I'm going to give this one a pass. But hey, MatPat, now that you got everyone's attention, why don't you answer the question? Oh, wait, you're not going to answer the question? In fact, you're just going to constantly be repeating yourself? Oh, okay then.
I would have answered it.
If you're criticizing him or any point that he stands on, you're just a hater and he's going to ignore you, or he's just going to turn it against you.
I don't know where you've gotten that.
Not the hater!
The hater! There it is. If I was truly bad about accepting criticism, why have I not, like...
Why would we do this live stream?
Actually, someone who can't take criticism would be doing this live stream. And if you think,
but that doesn't really make very much sense.
I will be explaining that later.
And two, like, guess what? You would be hearing about it a lot more.
You're just a hater and he's going to ignore you.
You would be hearing about it.
Ignore you.
You would be hearing about it.
Ignore you.
Well, I guess you could say he's ignoring what you're saying.
He gives no rebuttals to defend himself. He doesn't defend any of his theories. He just blatantly calls everything.
Jason! Look, it's Jason!
You know what?
Now, I don't think MatPat is a bad person. I just think that he's unable to take criticism. And truth be told, if you're going to be somebody online,
point to the evidence.
He gives no rebuttals to defend himself. He doesn't defend any of his theories. He just blatantly calls everything.
Jason! Look.
Well, it sounds like right when he started talking about it, expired eye candy started yelling, Jason!
You're going to have a little bit of thick skin. You're going to have to be able to...
I do!
You know,
you don't even realize. This one hurt. And the hate that video received in the first week.
So thick. It's so weird. It's so
or you're
strange
have to
how
be
thick
able
it is.
to refute things that are said about you. And if your
like
only
that backpack a
rebuttal
lot.
against things is to just say, these people keep hating on me.
Oh no,
and I
it's
don't
you,
deserve it. You
not
know,
responding to
anymore.
the haters.
Okay.
I just love how right after they say he has thick skin, you can see on his face he's progressively getting more pissed off.
It went from game theory to Five Nights at Freddy's theory.
I mean, we went through this.
Yup, it became 1/5 of his theories ever since it got put on the channel.
Five Nights at Freddy's videos consume the channel now. I mean, if you go to like the most populars in the channel, like every channel has.
I mean, they are the most popular. I'm not forcing people to watch the theories. Like, the audience is telling me, hey, I've also only done 3 Undertale.
Five Nights at Freddy's videos consume the channel.
3 Undertale.
The one thing I do agree with is that you don't pick your most popular video. But when he says it consumes the channel now, that means recently, not total. You can't have it consume the channel before it existed. So when you say no, only 15, we're looking at it from when it first got there, which makes it 1/5 of your whole content.
Anyway, so that's man, there are so many videos pulled up.